Welcome, everyone, to the Win Now podcast, hosted by Deborah Byrd, founder and CEO of Plug and Play SM.
I am so excited for today's show, so let's go.
And then myself, Todd Bookspan, founder of Win by Noon.
It's just such a need for sales professionals to not only have a plan, but just know what actually works. What are the repeatable success activities that if you commit to doing this before noon, you can be successful?
Effort is free. And I think that's really what it takes first and foremost before you even talk about kind of the steps to do it is you have to have the right attitude. You got to have clarity of what the mission is that you're on. You have to take action. And in order to take action, you have to know what it is that you're going to do. So first off, I do think you have to win the morning, whatever that looks like for you, right? Welcome everyone to another episode of the Win Now podcast. I am Todd Bookspan, the founder of Win by Noon, and I'm joined by
Deborah Byrd, founder of Plug and Play SM.
It's always exciting when we get to record and put out some amazing content for our audience. And we decided this year we're going to do some different theme days. We're going to do productivity. We're going to do sales. We're going to do communication. We're going to do social media, AI, and then we're going to do a thing that we haven't decided what to call it yet, but it will be our next show. So you're going to all be excited to hear that one. And today we're going to talk about something that's near and dear to my heart that I have not talked about a whole lot lately, that Deborah's been pushing me to talk about, and that's how to win by noon.
It's just such a need for sales professionals to not only have a plan, but just know what actually works. Like, what are the repeatable success activities that if you, without a doubt, you commit to doing this before noon and you give it enough time. So it's commitment and time on the right activities, you can be successful. That's why I love Win by Noon, and I've been putting the squeeze on you to share it more because so many need it. They need you, Todd.
Yeah, I think we've been down the exactly what to say rabbit hole, which we just love. And I think I enjoy that because I think if your communication can be more effective, then you can actually move quicker while providing the same amount of clarity and service to get to the better end result for you and for the person that you're trying to serve. I loved it. I recently did a video. It was quoting Jalen Hurts' dad, my favorite quarterback from the Philadelphia Eagles. And he says, effort is free. And I think that's really what it takes first and foremost before you even talk about kind of the steps to do it is you have to have the right attitude, right? It's easy to have a good attitude. That's free too. And you've got to be willing to put in the effort, right? There's nothing's going to come easy and for free. And ultimately, I think that's always where I start. If you don't show up with the energy, then how are you going to really make it happen?
It's very true. The energy management and then also the effort over time. And what do you do on the days where you don't feel like it, or maybe you didn't sleep well the night before? How do you manage that effort and give yourself permission to maybe give your 100%, but maybe on that day, the 100% looks a little bit different? I think that's where we have to have grace for ourselves, but also not let feelings get in the way. There's a lot of things I just don't feel like doing. And if I have to tell my kids this very line over and over, I'm like, listen, I know you're tired. I know you don't want to do the kitty litter, but that's your role on this team. So go scoop the kitty litter. Take care of the cats. I can hear them. I can actually hear them outside my office right now.
That's why we don't have cats in the Bookspan household, just dogs. They let themselves out the doggy door.
But the effort level of what it takes for a cat is much less. I don't have to walk a cat. I can go out of town and travel. They can go in a litter box. So it's effort management, Todd.
That is true. All right. So you win there. Absolutely. You win there. And so I think let's just start off with it, right? Number one is to me is clarity. You got to have clarity of what the mission is that you're on, because I think oftentimes what happens is that our goal is to close a transaction or our goal is to get somewhere at the end of the year. And I think that when it comes to the clarity, you really have to be thinking about it on a couple of different levels, certainly macro, right? I'm a big believer in setting goals. However, what I find is that a goal that's far off in the future feels a lot harder to achieve. So I think once you have that big goal, you've got to break it down into micro goals. But I was listening to a conversation recently, and early on, I've always known about the reticular activator, right? That's the part of your brain that catches the things that are out there that are on your mind. And I always love the example of the person who's like, oh, I'm going to buy a red minivan because I've never seen one. And all of a sudden, as soon as they put that out there in their brain, their reticular activator's on the lookout, and there's more red minivans than you can imagine because people in minivans like to look like they're going fast. I think that must be it. But ultimately, we all know the reticular activator, but someone pointed it out the other day, and I thought it was really, really important. What he said was, without clarity, what happens is you've got all these things coming at you, right? And he was like, it's billions of things, but even if it's like millions of things, like a big number of things all around you while you're sitting here, right? Lucky for me, I just have this really exciting, just plain wall because I have no decorations on it yet, but I got stuff here that I can see. But if I'm not crystal clear that right now my number one goal is to be present for the podcast, I could get distracted. I could get distracted by my water bottle. I could get distracted by my iPad, my other laptop, my Win by Noon planner, by the things that are over here. And so when you have clarity, then you're actually telling your reticular activator what to be on the lookout for. So if your clarity is to have quality conversations, then you're going to be ding ding looking to have those quality conversations. If your clarity is to be tuned into a conversation or a group of people or whatever that is, you can block out the rest of the noise. I think like when you go to a noisy restaurant, it's easy sometimes you're hearing that conversation at the table next to you. But if you're not crystal clear that my intention is to actually listen to Deborah and talk to Deborah while I'm there, I could easily get distracted by the other things.
That's just such a good point from what we talked about last episode. So if you guys didn't catch the last one, we talked about marketing and distractions and what some of the elite performers do intentionally so that they can block out the noise. And so it doesn't surprise me that the first step in winning by noon is clarity. And I feel like where most struggle in this, Todd, is they don't have, they may have clarity of the units or the amount that the volume they want to do, but they don't know how to reverse engineer it to then know here's exactly how many families I would need to help this month and what the activities are to get there. So when they show up, they're like, okay, I know the big goal for the year. And I guess this goes back to the micro and macro that you were talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. Easy way. First off, you have to be recording your activities and tracking your results, right? Spoiler alert, number 5 is accountability, and it could be in any order of these things. But ultimately, in the end, you've got to start with having a system to capture what your activities are and then figure out how to translate those activities into results, right? Look at your conversion rates. How many conversations do I have to have? Like how many people I have to call or text? I'm talking one-on-one. I'm not talking mass text, but how many people I have to call or text or reach out to in order to have a conversation, whether it's in person over Zoom or over the phone? And then how many conversations do I have to have in order to get a lead, right? Because regardless of what sales position you're in, you need a lead. And then the next step from there is going to vary on industry, right? It could be an appointment. If you're a real estate agent, you're looking for buyers or sellers, it could be a listing appointment or a buyer appointment. If you're a loan officer, it's going to be an application, right? Getting that next step. If you're in the insurance business, right, it's probably an application or the information that you need in order to get them a quote. And so it's really just thinking through what are the conversion rates to get there? Because first and foremost is you need leads, you need to have a funnel. And then from there, then it's a matter of measuring the conversion rates between each step of your transactions. I'll just use the loan officer example, right? You have to have an application. And once you have an application, you have to see, does it get pre-approved or not? Once it gets pre-approved, then does it close, right? Those would be, I think, the basic stages. I think a lot of people go right from lead to application to close, but I think you have this gap in the middle where not everyone actually qualifies. Not everyone who actually gets qualified decides to buy now. They might re-sign a lease. They might decide to wait because they think something's going to happen with the market. And so I think it's a matter of looking at each of those stages, because in the end, what it takes, how many people that I have to reach out to get a conversation or a meeting, to get a lead, to get the application, to get them pre-approved, to get them closed, then you can figure out exactly what does that ratio look like. In general, I've heard in the mortgage business lately has been 3 applications to 1 closing. And it's typically 5 or 6 leads to get an application. And then it's all over the board for phone calls because it depends on where are your leads coming from. Are your leads coming from a real estate agent who is getting the leads off the internet? Guess what? You're going to have to kiss a lot more frogs, talk to a lot more people to get there. Are you working only with real estate agents who've been in the business for 10 plus years and are handing you their database, repeat and referral clients? Guess what? Those are going to convert at a higher rate, and you're going to have to talk to less of them in order to get to a closed transaction. And so when you talk about the micro actions, really in the end, we all know it's going to come there. And guess what? Action is number 4 on the list. You have to take action. And in order to take action, you have to, A, know what it is that you're going to do. So we'll talk about that in a sec. And then B, you're going to have to schedule it, which we're going to talk about that in a sec too. But ultimately, how many of those actions do I need to take today in order to get there? Because I think you said, what do you do when you feel off or you're not feeling up to it? And so for some people, that's just another cup of coffee or a little extra caffeine or Celsius for you, I would think, or whatever your little drinks are. There you go. C4 this week. All right, perfect.
So flavor.
I got some electrolyte in here, right? So I've got my little whatever element in my beverage of choice here. But I have had my coffee. But what I think is that once, what I love about knowing what's my minimum standard for the day, right? We talk about minimum standards a lot, and I don't think most people have it. They just start, they get distracted and like, oh, I did something today, but they didn't actually hit they didn't take enough micro actions to hit the standard they had for today. My long-standing standard is 10 quality conversations with real estate agents. I know that's going to take me anywhere from 12 to 15 dials. Some days it takes 20, but on average, it's about 12-ish to reach out. Thankfully, people like me and pick up the phone when I call. And I also pre-schedule a lot, so that also leads to more people actually answering the phone. But ultimately, in the end, you have to really be thinking through what is my commitment that I'm going to make and then go for it. And I think on the days where you don't feel up to it, for me, it's you start and you do the first one and then you get momentum. And the challenge is on a day where you're not feeling it, you call, no answer, you call, no answer, you get someone, no thanks, click, and then it's harder to get momentum. And so then every once in a while, you just have to figure out to get momentum. You have to cheat the system a little bit. You got to stack the deck. And that's just call somebody that you know likes you, is going to be excited to hear from you, and then get that positive call in. And then from there, work on those hard calls. The bottom line is if you have clarity on what it is, you're right, on the quantity and who, around that, then, you absolutely can get going. And the weird part about it is I was on a Zoom with a bunch of realtors yesterday, and they talked about something similar. What are the things they said you need to do, basically get more leads, right? Would you have to call more people and get more leads? That's what they were talking about. But he surveyed the group, and on average, they thought that they probably could get their job done in 90 minutes a day. And I
Wow.
think that's true. I think if you just really started off with one 30-minute block, you can get momentum and go for an hour, 90 minutes. And most of the time, I think you could probably accomplish the majority of what you need to do if you know what you need to do in a day.
Mm.
Yeah, if you have an hour-long conversation, that might throw it off. But a lot of these conversations are 10 to 30 minutes, and you could probably have what you need to have in the time that you have available if you schedule it.
So do you recommend doing like short sprints within each day? I know we say win by noon, but do you chunk that down?
I think it depends on you and your energy, right? So number
Mhm.
two is calendar, right? You got to calendar it, right? So what does that look like for you? And I think when it comes to the calendar piece, I think there's a couple of pieces of it. Our good friend Dave Savage, I won by 7 today, and people are like, Todd, is he like dissing you because I won earlier? I'm like, no,
Which
there's a
he
few
also
people.
has said he's not like time blocking has never really worked for him, but he has been on this win by 6:58 a.m. or 7:36 a.m. Like I have
Well,
noticed
what
that.
he does is he breaks his day into 3 parts, I would say, right? If I'm gonna, this is just me speculating, but I talked to him enough to get it. But at first I was like, oh, like there's been a few people in the industry who've been like, yeah, Todd wins by noon and I win by 11:30. Jab, right? But that's fine, knock it out.
So
But this isn't a
competitive.
jab. What Dave does is he wins at his individual workout priorities first thing in the
Mm.
morning, like his morning routine, right? What he would call, I forgot, he's got a cool name for it. I'll think of it in a second. But he's
I
basically
was
got
thinking it's priming
his
the mind,
his
like priming.
protocol. That's what it is. He's got a protocol, right? So
Oh,
his protocol is his hot tub, his sauna, getting out for a walk, doing some journaling. And so that's when he's talking about winning by that. He's normally posting it after he's done his walk. And so Dave loves to do his walk and talks, and he gets out there and does it. So first off, I do think you have to win the morning, whatever that looks like for you, right? So like for me this morning, I got up. I'm trying to get back into meditation. I'm like day 40 into meditation, and it's rough. I'm finally like can actually put together like my brain not thinking for 30 seconds and my 10 minutes of meditation, right? Then I'm having my coffee and relaxing. Typically, Tara's going to have us watching Good Morning Football, although now that the Super Bowl's over and Sam Darnold is a Super Bowl champion, we probably won't be doing that. Won't be our morning jam while we're drinking coffee and getting rolling. And then it's exercise for me, right? It's going to be getting out and walking, typically with Tara, and then hitting the gym or running or whatever that looks like. And then I'm primed and I'm ready, shower and get ready to go. And I've always got a time where I'm going to be locked in the chair, but I've got a lot of flexibility to that morning of what I can put in there. I'm typically trying to read something in there. Everyone's got different things, Deborah, they throw in their morning routine, right?
I actually made a post about this. I brush my teeth. I look, remember? I go,
Oh,
So if you guys missed that post, feel free to check out my social media. But
maybe you throw it down in the show notes here.
yeah, I definitely will. But for me, my biggest win at the morning is that I get all my kids dressed, fed, lunches packed, everything in the car, out the car, get them to school so then I can like completely focus. If I don't get that part done, and I don't usually work out prior to that. Like that is, granted, they start really early because they have before school athletics, but I feel like I can just breathe and then I can be focused. But until that happens, which means it usually starts the night before. So I have them make sure that their lunches are made. They do a protein powder shake in the morning. So they put that in a Ziploc baggie, which I know is not great for the processed and having
I
more
wasn't
trash.
I wasn't gonna say I would not have said anything about that. My kids had Ziplocs.
Yeah,
I think
like
that's
even I have to sometimes remind them, like, have you showered and brushed your teeth? Okay, then it's a win. We won the morning by making sure my kids won the morning and I can let them go and be successful.
I always have prided myself on having a great morning routine, and I was surprised after knowing and being coached by Daniel Harkavy at Building Champions for probably a decade. I heard him say the best morning routines start the night before, and I thought, blinding flash of the obvious, right? How do you wind down? And those of us who are nerds and wear things on our wrists or our fingers that track stuff. I had my daughter's friends all came over and watched a movie at my house last night. Apparently, we're so cool that they thought they all hadn't watched this one movie from the 2000s. Cinderella with Brandy and Whitney Houston, by the way. But they decided to host it at our house. We all got to wear crowns. It was a lot of fun. And I don't think it was because of me. I think it's because they think that Tara's cool, but that's fine. I got to be part of it. But I loved it, but I didn't wind down till like an hour later than normal. So guess what? My heart rate's higher. All of it's how do you prep and how do you wind down at night. But ultimately, it's the calendar, right? So you've got a time, your kids are off, you breathe a sigh of relief, and then you get to work, right? When I had kids in school, same thing. I dropped my kids at school. I always prided and loved taking my kids to school, and then boom, plugged in and ready to go. And so when I say block it on your calendar, I blocked for till noon for a reason, right? I thought to myself, if I actually go all the way to noon, that I'm that busy, that I have that many great conversations, that everyone wants to talk to me, that I have so many transactions going, that I've got all those Tuesday update calls, or I've got so many pre-approvals that I'm just spending the whole morning calling. I'm like, that would be amazing. Unfortunately, that wasn't very common. So normally, if I was locked and loaded and I got my stuff done, if I was ready to go, I got done way before noon. And then I could react and check email and do all the things that other people do first. And that's why they never finish the other things. That was always good. Or maybe while I was going, in the morning, oh, I got distracted. My wife needed me to do something. Or, oh, I had this realtor that said, hey, can you do this urgent thing for me over here? And then I could get locked back in. I still had enough time and I could still get it done. And guess what? If it ran over till 1 o'clock, no big deal. But ultimately, for me, I say, you ask the question, do you just block it? I think you have to choose how to do it. It's like everything else. When you start, if you're going to run a marathon, you don't run 26 miles the first day out. You might run a quarter mile. You might even only walk the first week or 2 or 3 that you're starting to train. So I think it's figure out what you can block for yourself. There's a technique called the Pomodoro technique, named after the Pomodoro tomato. I don't remember the whole story of why that, but ultimately it's block an hour and then work for 55 minutes. And then you have 5 minutes to, stretch and move around and get up and walk around. I definitely am one who can't sit in a chair for 4 straight hours. So I'm going to get up, walk around while I'm on the phone and do those things. But I think if you just allow that for me, I blocked it so that other stuff that was unimportant didn't get put on there. I think that the biggest part of the calendar is not what you put on it, it's what you don't allow onto it. And I think that's where people get in trouble, is they're not looking far enough ahead to say, okay, Deborah, you want to do something. Oh, great. You know what? Can you do it at 9? In my mind, I'm like, heck no, that's my most productive time. But hey, how would one work for you? And it's having those scripts and conversations when I talk about exactly what to say is, how do you do the work before the work? You're ready to say, gosh, you know what? I can't wait to meet with you. That's not going to work for me. You got to protect that time. Because what I found was real estate agents used to tell me that the best time that they had to contact their leads was between 4 and 6 p.m., which is, by all the research studies, one of the 2 best times, because people are getting off of work and going there. But the other one, by the way, being from 8 to 10 in the morning. And I said, what would happen if you called from 8 to 10? They're like, oh, no one answers the phone, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, great. Well, how consistent are you calling from 4 to 6? And then they all lose eye contact. They're not consistent with that. So wouldn't it be better than to commit to be consistent every day from 8 to 10 calling your leads? And then worst case is that you actually don't have appointments in the afternoon. You can call again from 4 to 6 and maybe more people answer the phone. But what I found was calling people in the morning, guess what? Then they call you back in the afternoon. And so that's that reacting part, right? Proactive in the morning, reactive the rest of the day.
Love that. Okay, so we did step 1 was clarity. Step 2 was calendar. You told us
step 3 is intentionality. Step 3. So
that's the
again,
one we're missing.
You can move these around, but ultimately the intentionality piece is that once it's on your calendar, you have to be really intentional to say no to these other things. When I started teaching Win by Noon in 2017, I had a picture of a horse running. Horses have those blinders because their eyeballs can move all the way around. They have blinders so they can only see forward when they're racing in the big race like the Kentucky Derby. And then I have this slide of a cartoon guy sitting in his chair with human blinders on. And so it's, again, how do you eliminate those distractions? It always starts here with the phone thing, right? If you have all your distractions on your phone going off, like that's crazy, right? You talked last time, every 145 seconds a distraction goes off? Is that what it was?
Yes.
115. Oh, every 115 seconds.
It was a minute and 3/4.
Yeah.
I think it was 1.75 minutes. Yeah.
So that's crazy, right? So that's every 105 seconds. you're getting interrupted at work. And so how do you eliminate all those interruptions? And for me, it was hiding at first. So when I first started Winning by Noon, I would drop Giselle at school. I always tell the story. Giselle, she wanted to be dropped at 8:29. School started at 8:30. If you weren't there at 8:29, the door shut. So she didn't want to have to knock on the door because that's too embarrassing. But we would sit in the parking lot. I'd be like, oh, it's 8:22. She's like, oh, it's not time yet, Dad. And at 8:29, we would get out of the car. We'd walk up to the door. And it wasn't like that she would get out and walk up herself. I got out with her. We walked up to the door, and then I sprinted back to my car. I jumped in and I went and I hid at the burrito place near her school. There was 2 coffee shops and 2 restaurants kitty corner from my office, but I separated myself from everything else. That was my intentionality so that I could actually get this stuff done. Now, the other part of intentionality is you have to know who it is you're going to call, and you have to create systems to make it really easy to call those people, right? So you have this thing, it's called a CRM. And in there should be all your leads, should be all your buyers and sellers if you're a realtor, all the people you should call. And you just have to figure out, how do I make it so I can easily run a report or print something out, or at least just write a name of the 10 people you want to connect with, or the 3 files you want to work on, or whatever that is that you need to do. And you need to be really intentional to have that ready to go. Because if not, what happens? You jump on your computer and you're like, oh my gosh, whoa, my stock's doing really well today. Oh gosh, look at gold. Like, you just all of a sudden you find other things that take your time. Oh my gosh, TikTok just notified me on my phone of something. No, I don't have TikTok on my phone, but if I did, I probably would. And so you have to be intentional about the things you're doing, and really more importantly, the things that you don't do.
I love that. So those are your 6 steps, guys.
Those are 6 steps, right? So number 4 was take action, right? Because then once you have it, you're taking action, right? And it's not just, you are taking micro steps, but you really need to take massive action, right? You have to just do it. Like, this is what I'm doing, and get through it. And then if you get kicked in the teeth on a phone call or a conversation, then you got to keep going, right? I think that's super important. On the accountability piece, I think there's 2 parts of accountability, right? The thing about the planner that I didn't realize when I started selling the Win by Noon planner is it's self-accountability, right? I literally will, most days, ironically, I didn't today, so it's a bad day to show it. But normally what I would do, and this isn't my normal one, but normally, let me just do it right now. My goal is I've already had 3 quality conversations. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So mine actually has 5. So I would literally draw a box around the quality conversations I want to have in my planner so that I actually can physically see it. And as I'm having those conversations, I'm holding myself accountable to the standard I set. I've heard other
But if
people.
you're short, let's say you only got to 7, does that mean you have to add 3 to the next day?
So for me, I add 3 to the next day. So even if it's, let's pretend on Monday I hit my 10, let's pretend on Tuesday I only did 7, and then the next day I'm gonna write down 13. And so let's pretend the next day I do 15. So I'm actually 2 ahead for the week, right? I'm at 32. And if on Thursday I only do 5, I don't say, oh, I'm already 2 ahead, I only need to do 3. I actually add that 5 on the next day. So me, I gamify it with myself. I had a friend mentor early on. His name was Mike Metz. He was on the stage at Sales Master once. He had a click, and he had to have a certain number of conversations, but he was an app guy. If he didn't have 3 apps in a day, he literally stayed and dialed at work late. And I love him. He's got a great family and a great marriage. I talked to him recently. He's off enjoying retirement, traveling around. But ultimately, that was his commitment. My commitment is at some point, I'm like, all right, I did the best I can do today. I did all I could do. I didn't get my number, and I'm going to push it for tomorrow. And I really have found that that's been the number for me. I think it's better if you have accountability with a group. I recently heard a loan officer, Alex Dykes, talk about like his team. He hated accountability, and now his team loves it. Every day they go into Microsoft Teams at the end of the day, and they all put their numbers in there. I know a lot of teams that do that if you're on a team, but ultimately, if you don't have a coach, you got to figure out how to hold yourself accountable. And then number 6, I didn't give you number 6 yet.
Oh, you're right.
Look at that. So number 6 is review, right? At the end, you got to review it.
I was just about to ask that. Like, how often do you review what's
I
the
told numbers
number?
every day. So I think there's different levels of review, right?
Okay.
Just on the surface level, I look at it at the end of the day. I total up. How did I do? You're keeping score, right? It's the end of an inning in a
But
baseball game.
sometimes you could be doing all the right things at the gym, and if you weighed yourself every day and you're like, "Ugh, this isn't working," so then you quit too soon. So how do you make sure that when you're reviewing, when you know what activities to do, you just have to trust the process and commit fully for enough time?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I think that's it. And you just can't be discouraged. The problem is that to me, it's the law of averages, right? So when we were talking before about how many calls do I have to make today if I want to get a closed transaction, That's the law of averages. And sometimes during COVID, when mortgages were falling out of the sky and people were wheeling a wheelbarrow and it was just falling into their wheelbarrow, you didn't have to make very many calls in order to get a closed transaction, right? Today, right, early 2026, you're going to make a lot more calls as a loan officer, real estate agent, whatever industry you're in order to get business. And so you don't want to be distracted by it. But there's an old thing, right? Is that the power of getting a no is that you're one call closer to a yes, because at some point you're gonna get there. And so I total my numbers every day, but I look at it on a weekly basis, right? My micro goal is a week. Here's my week. Here's what I want to get. Right now for my team, it's 6 applications a week for Shay, who's the loan partner who took over my production. And so what has to get done up front during that week in order to get those 6 applications. And then if you get to the end of the month, you I think get 18 in January. So guess what? He was 6 short, right? He wasn't there. So now he's got to get 30 this month. He's already starting out behind and really you got to put in the extra activity to get there. And then I think that the framework you can put on there, we built it in the back of the planner, right? So again, I don't want to have to overthink things, right? So at the back of the planner, it's got I don't know which edition I've got here. If it's probably may not have what I'm looking for in there. Of course, what I'm trying to grab it doesn't, but I just got a new one from the printer. So let me pull it out of my bag. And let me take a peek at the back of this one because I should have what I want in it.
I like that you have the weekly review and the monthly review and quarterly.
Yeah, so here's quarterly review, right? Like memories, we're talking about personal stuff, business accomplishments, but it's ultimately areas for growth and improvement, right? It's the old keep, start, stop, right? What do I want to keep doing that's working well? What do I want to start doing that other people are doing that I'm like, gosh, I wish I was doing that. And what is it I'm doing I got to stop doing? I think that's one of the other pieces. I was going to list of some of the questions I ask myself, right? When I'm best, I need to nail these 3 things, right? When I'm at my best, these are 3 things that I need to make sure I don't do, right? For me, it's when I'm at my best, I'm sleeping well, I'm eating, I'm exercising, right? Again, that sounds corny because it's so basic, but it's true. But for me to be eating well, then I can't be eating sugar. It has to be off my list because I have no off switch. During the Princess movie party, they brought me a bag of licorice as a gift, which was amazing. And I ate half a pound of licorice probably because I have no off switch. I'm like, oh, I'll just have one piece so I could be nice because they brought me a gift. It didn't go well for me. And so it's like, what are those things not to do? I think it's always asking yourself, what are your blind spots, which is hard because it's your blind spot. So oftentimes to figure out what your blind spot is, you have to actually ask someone else, what is it, something you think might be my blind spot? But you can look at that and see what could potentially be a blind spot.
The other big way to find your blind spot, and it was Tyler Lusk, I believe, that we had interviewed. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I like that he had his digital planner of what appointments he had that auto get scheduled if someone uses your Calendly link. But then he would record what he actually did in his 1 by noon planner. And so to me, it's really telling what your intentions may be. And then to document like what you did and what got in the way. Like to me, that's live time to say, okay, why did I put this as the priority? Could this have been less time? Why did this take so long? Like that was my eye opener of not giving myself enough time on certain tasks because in my mind, I thought it would take less. And then it always went a little bit more. And I just had to get better at having, I forget what you call it, like the white space in between, like buffers.
Yeah,
and then pre-scheduling. Okay, if I know we have our 1 by noon podcast today, then I need to set time to make sure that we do the editing, the uploading. So it's just always thinking ahead. That's what I like about the planner and that I can write in it because even if I'm talking to a client and if I promise something in a week, I'm flipping to that day and I'm going ahead and I'm writing it there. Otherwise, if it's in this head and I'm like Nemo. My memory, which is good for a lot of things because it's like short memory, but I live and breathe by my calendar. So it's really helped me big time and identify those weak spots.
Well, and I think that a couple of things that I'll point out. So one is what I loved about the thing that you said about Ty Lusk is that Ty does it differently than I do it, right? So the planner's not about how I do it. People are like, Todd, how do I do it? I'm like, it's not how I do it. It's how you do it, right? So I loved it. The first time I was teaching it to his team of real estate agents, he's like, oh, that's great, Todd, how you use it. But let me tell you how I use it. And so I love that first and foremost, that it's not about one person. It is about one person. It's about you. It's not about me as the designer of the product. Number 2 is, you have to have that white space. If you're back to back, the problem with that is a couple things. Number 1, first and foremost, you're gonna be exhausted, right? You're truly going to be exhausted. So you need to have those buffers because you also want it just in case something's going really well. So for me, I hate the word hack, but my hack for that lately is like my Calendly link is not for 30 minutes, it's for 25, and it's not for 60 minutes, it's for 50 minutes. And so I had back-to-back Zooms with real estate agents yesterday, and I'm like, okay, great. Like here we are as we're wrapping up because I get the notification, right? Your meeting's about to end. And so I'm like wrapping it up. And so I had a few minutes to breathe before I jumped on the next one. Because the last thing you want to do is be just like I was today, coming to this podcast. I was like running up the stairs to get here to Club 44 because I picked up my daughter from her workout class, but I had a little daddy-daughter time, even though she's 30 now and having a baby. But ultimately, it's having that, you just don't want to be, that's how you get to the end of the day and you're exhausted. Believe it or not, I can put in a full work a day and actually still have energy at the end of the day. I think that's ultimately what it's about. So what did I miss? What else would you add in there for people to be productive and win by noon? And I'm so grateful for you, Deborah, for being, first off, just a big cheerleader for it, but then really for this last few months of pushing me to start getting out there and get on stages and talk about this more.
I would say for anyone who hasn't seen the planner, what's nice is you talked about choosing what works for you when you're setting your calendar and being intentional with your who's. But the planner, whether you're a real estate agent or a mortgage professional or financial advisor, it doesn't matter the space. Like you've identified those activities that have created repeatable success that if you just the night before you went ahead and made your list based off the theme days that the planner provides, it's like there's no guesswork to it. It's then just working the plan with high effort, good energy. So that's one thing I would put like exclamation points on because even my own clients, like sometimes they're like, oh, I made the post, like check. I'm like, yeah, but it's not just about making the post. Like it's the full strategy. It's looking to see who's commented. Did you respond to the comments? Are you looking at your stories? Who's visibly watching your stories? Those are opportunity signals that we just ignore. So I would say just make sure you're intentional, you're optimizing your time, you're optimizing the opportunity, and don't try to reinvent the wheel. Like success does leave clues. And so I would just encourage everyone to get the planner and then create your own accountability group where you can brand and have a pack of 10 or 20 planners that imagine if you took what's system we know works and maybe you had your lender partner or your agent partners and there's 10 of you and everyone shows up to the meeting or you're a team lead and it's like everyone gets their planner out and they go ahead and they set during Monday's pipeline meeting, like we know the theme days, here's who we're calling, this is the segment of the database for this day, and you just take action. But I do think having the group helps.
I would say this. So first off, you don't have to have the planner to win by noon, but I'll tell you, it makes it easier. Whatever system you have, if it's working, keep doing it. If not, go to winbynoon.com, use the code trial26, and it'll give you a free trial. Sign up for a quarterly subscription. It'll ship it to you for free. You just pay for shipping and then give it a quarter to use it. If you don't like it, you can cancel. We can still be friends, but I would encourage you to use it for more than one quarter. I've really found that just watching some of the coaching organizations that are using it and just seeing there are people who fought it and fought the accountability, but now are like, oh my gosh, I can't live without it. Because when you do that weekly review and you look ahead at your week, that's the intentionality piece. I always would love any questions that you all have on it. If you are a team leader or leading a group of whatever it is in sales, I'm always happy to jump on Zoom and chat with you about this specific to your industry. So feel free to reach out. How else do we want to close this out, Deborah?
I would say make sure you're following Win by Noon across all social media channels. And
by my social media company. Thank you, Deborah, for making me look so good out there.
But I think also too, knowing that they can reach out to you and you could do a Zoom or do a live speaking event to help either kick this off or talk about the 6 steps to win by noon and be successful. So just make sure you ask. Don't be scared to ask. Whatever you don't ask for, you don't get. So shoot your shot, and I'm sure Todd will respond timely, as I know he does, and he'd be happy to serve.
Thank you. We appreciate you listening so much. And we have another favor for you. That favor would be whichever podcast format you're looking at this on, or if you're looking on YouTube, please hit the like button and subscribe. You can always leave a comment like that was amazing. That's probably pretty good for the algorithms too. And my guess is you probably know someone in your world, or someone's plural, that could use a little bit of a kick in the ass when it comes to productivity, and maybe give it a quick share over to them. We would really appreciate it. As always, we're grateful that you invested your time and hung out with the two of us. So let's let this one come to a close, and can't wait to see you on our next
Win
Now podcast.
And now all you have to do is win now.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Win now, please.